indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fuccio? Here. Mr. DeFreitas?
Here.
Mr. Hagan?
Here.
Ms. Lentz? Here. Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Ms. Reiner? Here. Ms. Turner? Here. Ms. Wick? Here. 9 present.
Thank you. So we have two presentations this evening. One was the nutritionist group. Kelly, want to go ahead and do your presentation? Do you have a slide?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody.
Did you have handouts? Just slide.
So Bridget is your on-site food service director, wanted to come this evening and just say hi. We're excited to start another new school year. So welcome back. So it's a new beginning. We've gone through a lot the past few years. So we're excited to call this a fresh, bright year. We're super excited to bring some of our favorite stuff back and to kind of go back to the new normal. Some of our favorite meal items are coming back. One thing that the students will be excited to know is we have pepperoni again this year. Pepperoni was like a super hot commodity last school year, and you don't realize how much you love pepperoni until you really aren't able to get your hands on pepperoni. So that is something that's returning. And another thing is the whole muscle meat chicken. We had issues trying to get that. Again, if you're out and about, you ever go to somewhere like McDonald's or something, a lot of people did away with those just because of the availability issues. So we're excited to bring a lot of that back. So this is a letter that unfortunately we had to send out. The Everybody Eats for Free went away this school year. The last 2 years, that was something that was available. So this year we did have to return to applying for the free, reduced, and paid applications. And something new for this year is mostly for the elementary level. We're bringing back our nutrition education, and we kind of spiced it up and changed some of the theming around that. So the intent is for us once a month to focus on one of these different education pieces at our elementary school level, to try to get them excited in fruits and vegetables, which sometimes they're not always super excited about. And just make it something exciting. We have signage, we have lessons to go with it, some giveaways, just to try to get them excited and learn some stuff about what used to be the food groups. It's no longer that, it's my plate in the different categories. So that's all I have. Together, we're gonna work really hard to continue to provide delicious food that the students like to have for lunch.
I have a question. Yes. I can appreciate last year with COVID, there were some issues trying to get supplies, and you would change the menu kind of based on the week. But are you going to make an effort to make sure the website is up to date? I know it sounds petty, but when you're 8 and you agree to buy food and you get there and it's something different, the world ends.
Completely understand.
Yeah.
Yes. Part of that hit, Bridget decided to have her baby right after school started.
Right at the beginning of school.
So yes, we're definitely.
This year, father problem.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. But Bridget is here and she's phenomenal, so that should never happen again. But we have got our purchasing department worked extremely hard. We have multiple French fry providers. We have multiple chicken providers, so that if one of them ends up not being able to get us what we need, the other one would.
And you can just make a change when we go on the website so people are
Yes,
aware that.
absolutely.
So you're not having to check these on the
Yes,
website up to date.
Nutrislice.
Nutrislice.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
That's
And
okay.
It's live, correct?
Yes.
Like as soon as she changes it,
Yeah.
automatically.
Thank you so much for going down and helping with the elementary building.
How late could a menu actually change it? Is it 24 hours, say for a parent,
So
if they check, or
when our
could it
order
be a
comes
very
in,
last minute check?
you will know once the truck comes in.
Yeah, our truck comes in on Wednesdays, so if something is missing, then I do change it right then and there. It's normally not that day. I usually get that day ahead. It's usually a couple days past.
So someone's checking the website
Yes.
stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do email the secretaries as soon as a change is made, so they make that announcement for the kids. And I know by then it's too late because they already are promised chicken nuggets and it's a burger, but I try.
Okay.
So there's a lot of parents in the room, and I don't know if you know this, but they are short-staffed. So they do have staffing issues in some of the schools with the nutritioning. So, you know, anybody who's looking for a job, they are hiring.
Mm-hmm.
We are.
Yeah.
We actually, the application is live on the website. It's also on Indeed. We increased our starting wage, which we're hoping. We have a Facebook ad out there, so if you want to grab that and share that too, that would be great.
Just thought, and some of this may have been part of so many of the free lunches, but have you ever thought, or are you allowed, because I know restaurants have a problem with this, to collect or have a place for the kids to place a cart or something to place the food that they don't eat? And can that be
Share
donated
table.
to, is there a shared table
We
there?
can do share table, absolutely.
Just a couple of students had mentioned to me over time they want to maybe try to expand that, or just they saw so much that went into garbage, and really trying to tell them don't throw it out. At least maybe we could donate that to the food kitchen. Something. It just seems like such a waste to bring it in, produce it, throw it to the garbage.
So there will definitely be less at the high school and middle school level because when we were doing that free, they had to take certain things.
Correct. And it seems like they would take the fruit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, or on the floor.
Yeah. So that will be okay there. At the elementary, we do encourage them to have the share table, definitely with an ice pack to keep the stuff cold. Unfortunately, there are a ton of regulations that don't allow us to do like the soup kitchen and stuff like that. The government would rather, unfortunately, see us throw chicken sandwiches away than say to the janitor, hey, you want a chicken sandwich? I hate it. Absolutely.
Most restaurants don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we can
Okay.
definitely do the share table, it's
With
temperature
packaged
control.
goods, things that are packaged and what have you. But
Yeah. The rest.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did any of the students have any questions?
On that note.
Next up is the Morris Backstop Club.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if I can pull Mr. Matusik out from the back row.
Mr. Matusik has been summoned.
So, hopefully you all had a chance to look at the slides I shared on Friday. You know, I didn't want to blindside the board or administration. You know, we're trying to work together for improvements. Been in talks with Mr. Matusik. We met on the field, spoke on the phone a couple of times about what we need to do to help our program. So that's kind of where this is. New athletics, new athletic director, new visions, and to try and help and improve these fields. So if you don't mind. Current conditions on the field, I'm trying not to read this to you, but the infield's not level. If you ever stood on the baseball field, it should be a level playing field. Ours is not so much. Creates a hazard. Experienced myself, my son plays third base. You're supposed to stand next to the base. 100 miles an hour off the bat, it's hard to do in our field. He has to stand back because he knows he's catching that ball coming up right at his face. So it's tough for him specifically to play his position. You have your standard possible twisted ankle and whatnot, but with the level of the field the way it is, it's just not ideal. It creates a little bit of a hazard for our players. Drainage is a big one, if not the biggest one that we need help with, and that's why we're here, asking for your help to help us. Once it rains, it's done. Day's over, tomorrow's over too. The water just doesn't go anywhere unless we could pump it out, but we're not going to do that. Rake it out, try and drag it out, whatever we need to do. I know coaches have come, after school and try to get it out. It just doesn't go anywhere. So that's our biggest issue. It just shuts down our field. We don't have anywhere to practice unless we get over the calorie, and that's a whole other thing I don't want to talk about. But if we get on calorie, great. But if not, we just can't use this field, especially in March when season is in Pennsylvania. It's just very tough to do. The baselines that used to be dirt from home plate to first. You're supposed to run in dirt from home, the first one from third to home. We don't have that. It's all grass. That was sort of by design because of all the drainage, the issues with drainage. We would have water build up on the first baseline, on the third baseline, and couldn't play. So the idea was, and this is before my time, this is coming from prior backstop members, that they allowed that to grow in grass. And with it being grass, it just helped water not puddle up. So hopefully we'd be able to get on the field a little faster, and that was the idea behind it, because of all the drainage issues. We need to take care of the field, need to aerate the field. Mr. Matusin could tell you more than I could about what it takes to go into taking care of the field, but this is step one, and it starts like this week. We need to aerate the field. Mars, in the history that I've been here, doesn't do that. It happened once. That was because the backstop club paid for the aeration. And supposedly you're supposed to do it up to 6 times a year. We did it once in the last 4 years. So we just need help. We need labor help. We need financial help from you guys. The grass, if you take a look, it's mainly crabgrass. It's not ideal. Crabgrass will grab the ball rolling through the field. You'll see it if you're standing there. You'll see the light green crabgrass everywhere, and unfortunately, a little bit of the green grass built in amongst the crabgrass. So we kind of need help there, spraying that and taking care of that. Mars Backstop Club and parents have done that over the past several years, but we're kind of like, it's really shouldn't fall on our responsibility financially and physically to go and take care of the baseball field for the varsity team like we've had to the Little League field, you know? And now with Mr. Matusic here, it sounds like that's the direction we want to go. We just need your help to make all that happen. When we did get help from the district, they seem to overspray with weed killer or total vegetation killer. You'll see some images coming up that the grass grows in the infield. Weeds are growing in the infield, and they walk around and spray, but they'll spray the edges of the dirt, and that's killing all the grass around the edges as well, which is widening your infield, right? Then we'll go and cut out the dead grass, fill it in with dirt, so it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger over time. There's regulations that's followed by the National Association of High School and Athletics. I doubt they'll ever come out and measure our field, but you know, if you follow the guidelines, we're out of their compliance. So it'd be nice to get back into that compliance. If you drive by the bullpen on a nice new road, you'll see that's starting to be run down, and that needs to be addressed as well. So we'd like some help there as well. In season, during the season, Mars Backstop pays on average, and anything in red is approximate, it's not the penny, $10,000 a year annually. That's a check coming out of all of the parents' pockets. We cut $250, $300, handed to them, and collect it, and that gets our kids on the field. So we don't really have a facility that will get them on the field in March. Now, some of that is February as well, which will go indoors, but we have nowhere to take them other than this one field this district owned. We just can't do that. So we're paying a lot of money to get our kids on field. In season, you're looking roughly $250 a day. If our field is not ready to go, we have to go and find a field somewhere. We've done that in the past. It hasn't been our athletic department. Hopefully that's going to change. But that's something Mars Backstop Club had to do, is go and find fields. Where are we going to play today? And go rent that field, whether it be no off season down the street here or somewhere else. Last season, our first practice to be able to be held on our field was 9 weeks after the season started. And that was May 1st. That was just last year. So for 9 weeks, we're looking for places to play, securing fields, hopefully turf fields, you know, where the weather doesn't matter in March. But that's the amount of time and money that has gone into that. Games, if we have to, again, that's another $250 that we have to pay out of Mars Backstop Club to go and play that specific game. Last year, our home opener, we played at Fox Chapel. So that's a home and an away series. You know how it works. We'd have to go there 2 days in a row because our field just isn't up far. We don't have anywhere to play. Title IX violations have come up and occurred. Mr. Matus be able to expand on Title IX.
It's true. Equal opportunities and discrimination or something. We have United States citizens, so we are in violation.
And it's kind of backwards. The rule was created for female sports to be equal with boys, but I think we're kind of backwards. And if you can just go to the next page. Softball has 2 fields, beautiful turf field. My daughter played 4 years on that field. It was a great field. We have another field across the street you're aware of, 2 batting cages, everything's paved and nice. And then when we go to our baseball field, next slide. This is what we're dealing with. And, here's where the dirt should, don't touch me. Yes, sorry. Here's your first base. This is home plate. So this should be dirt running out to first base. We don't have that. You can see grass is starting to grow in here that if district doesn't take care of that, that's been the past several years, the standard, the district has not. We'll have to keep it together. These boys in the background, their parents, backstop club have to get out on the field and take care of that, get rid of all the grasses, all the weeds, all the maintenance to get us up and par for game 1 or even the first practice if we can. 1 batting cage versus 2 for the girls. Parking lots, it's not back to field of play, but the facilities itself is just run down compared to when you go over to the softball, fast pitch fields.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Are the 2 softball fields both turf or just one?
Just one. Yeah, one's full turf and the other one is your typical third infield.
So the youth baseball is able to play on the softball turf field.
Youth baseball is able to play, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
To what age?
10 on that field? You got girls will play on that field? Okay.
Is it fence distance or because it's 45 players?
It's probably fence distance more than anything. But it's also, the pitcher's mound gets carried out onto the field. Coach pitch, you don't do it. But the bases will move. There's different positions for the bases on the baseline for the girls softball versus baseball, depending on what age group it is. We covered this. We haven't had much support. When I say we, the baseball community hasn't had much support from the district or athletics in the past. Again, I've been on the phone with Mr. Matusik. He sounds like we're all on the same page. We know what needs to be done, and we're all in agreement here. It's not like Mars backs up club trying to tell him what to do or vice versa, but we're just seeing it. We have the same vision, so that's good. But in the past, we backstop clubs have been indirectly forced to just maintain the field financially and physically. All the labor, all the funds, all came from parents doing what we had to do to make sure we had something for our kids to play on. We've had to go, there's advanced landscaping. They would come in and take care of the fields in the beginning. That'd be a contact that Mars Backstop Club had to make. We never had our athletic director in the past help us in this regard. It was always us doing it to get this field up and running. We have to do it now. We have to take care of this field now, one way or the other. Because if we wait till spring, it's too late. And that's what happens here. We'll wait. All right, are they going to do something? No. All right, hurry up. Sound the alarm. We have to go to the field. We get parents, players. We take care of the field. We're taking care of it in the early spring, but that's delaying us getting on the field in the spring because we're taking care of it. We need to start to take care of it in the fall. That way, we're just doing some finishing touches in the spring. Next slide. You can see there's a picture of our bullpen. And what we have to do with. Okay, we have to go in there, players, parents, backstop club. It's our funds and our labor, care of things like that. We've had donations from outside sources to help us, financial donations. We've had equipment. Mars Youth Baseball has given us their field groomer. We come and groom the field and take care of this all in early March, or that's about March. Take care of the field and get in a condition where we can play. Again, the numbers in red are just ballpark numbers, but there is cost to that. A lot of it's labor. I don't know how I put my labor on the board as a fee, but if we're not to do it, there's going to be a cost there. Again, parents taking care of removal of grass, reseeding, redoing the field mix, treating the outfield, taking care of the warning track. There's just a lot of maintenance there that doesn't happen that we need your help with. And that's why I'm here today. We've provided things like nets, pitching machines, you can get the next one, for the team. Outside of maybe a couple dozen baseballs, we don't seem to get much from our athletic department in the past. Hopefully that changes, so we need some financial support there to give them the equipment they need, so we don't have to absorb the financial burden. Just more before and after pictures. This is what our field on the familiar way. So you can see what the field's going to turn into. That's on an annual basis, and what we have to turn it into. That's all the money and labor that we have had to absorb and put into the field. Last year, the reason why this number is in yellow is because that's a fixed cost. We spent $5,000 on a mower just to be able to cut our grass. We couldn't get district employees out there to cut grass for our games. From what I'm hearing, we don't have enough on staff. I understand that. So we had to do what we needed to do, is go out and cut grass before the games, make sure it's in a playable shape. Dragging the field. The mower, that is a picture of the mower. It cuts the grass, it drags our field, and does all the grooming, and helped a lot. And then there was one point last year where the locks on our field got changed, so we can no longer go in there even and help ourselves. So that was just kind of sitting in a room. We're paying for the diesel gas, the maintenance, that's daily. So that's something that we're also asking for your help, is just help maintain the field. This is players and coaches. After every game, the players stay for an extra 30 minutes minimum to go out and take care of the field, because we had to. There's no one there to help us in that regard. So a couple solutions. Keep the dirt field as is, but there's going to be money involved there. There's an appendix that I did not bring because you all have been emailed that appendix. That's a ballpark, but it's a close figure. What would have to go in to get that field up to shape for next year? There's a recurring annual cost for that, though. It's not like we go and fix it and it's done, because with the dirt field and the grass field, you have to do that annually. And it might not be $20,000 every year. Maybe it's $5,000 the next year. I don't know what that number is, but there is cost. So we need that help if we want to keep the dirt field. The labor, the small issue is who's going to do it? Who's going to maintain our field if we don't have employees to do it? Honestly, Mars Backstop Club does not want to take the burden on any longer, financially or physically. I just want to watch baseball at this point, So that's an issue. So who's going to do the labor? I don't know. Is it outsourced? I don't know. Time frame, I hit on it once. We need to act now. If we're going to go this route, we need to aerate starting like tomorrow and take care of that field and spray all the weeds. Wait your 2-3 week period for that to take place, then go back and do all your reseeding and what needs to happen for growth of roots and whatnot to sustain through the winter. And then in the spring, we're just doing small maintenance, not, oh my gosh, let's catch up and sound the alarm and get everybody out to the field, which is some small things. Second option is preferred, and turf. We install turf on the infield, we play. Grass outfield, turf infield, we play. And I don't think there's ever been a game canceled for a grass outfield or a little bit of water in the outfield. It's always the infield, and that's where your hazards are. Or B, you can turf the whole entire field. And then there's very minimal maintenance. If we don't have people to maintain it, maybe that's an option to think about. Done some costs, approximately. I've talked to a couple of turf companies. I have one here tonight. If we have time to just speak for 30 seconds, 60 seconds. But if you want to turf the infield only, you're looking at about $500,000 for the infield only. That's initial upfront cost. That's because you have to excavate, you have to drain it properly. There's work that goes into it. So of that 500, maybe 200 is turf. For the other 3 is just excavation and drainage. If you want to do the whole field, you're looking about $1.5 million to do the whole field. So that was the homework that the Mars Backstop Club did by getting some quotes. And we still have quotes coming in to give an exact penny, which I would feel free to give to Mr. Matusik and let him do whatever he needs to do with those quotes. Labor we talked about is almost zero. If you do the turf infield only, and that's a route that you choose to take, then we just have to maintain the outfield. You're cutting grass, maybe some weed and feed, take care of the warning track. But again, who's going to do that? And then the time frame, if you do the turf infield, and we just made that decision quickly, that can be installed from what I'm hearing, can be installed and up and in and all ready to go for the season for next year. If you choose to go the entire field and that's the direction you want to go, that's a much longer process. That next year would be out of the question, but maybe the year after, if that's the direction you want to go, that can happen. And then next slide, 2 more slides, sorry. Some financial impacts. Of course, there's upfront costs to the district if you want to turf the field. But the revenue you're going to gain by turfing the field will offset that cost.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, I will. Next slide.
How long
a
is
little
the
bit.
turf class?
What's that?
How long is the turf class?
Steve?
My name is Steve Nagler. I'm a sales manager for Keystone Sports Construction. So turf is really across the board. It's warranted for 8 years, but with proper maintenance, both from a district standpoint and like 1 deep cleaning a year, you're probably going to get 10 to 12, possibly 13 years out of the life of the turf. Now, also, the one thing you might be mentioning this replacement cost, because that's a question we always get as well. Replacement cost, because we don't have to re-excavate or do any earth moving of any kind. We're just ripping out the old turf, putting in the new turf. It's about a quarter of the cost of what Jeff is talking about.
Are you able to piecemeal it, so we do the infield and then later do the outfield if we need, if we can come up with plans for the infield first?
Great question. Great question. So that can be done in 2 separate mobilizations. The downside to that is that we would have to mobilize twice. So obviously the benefit of doing the whole field up front is we're here once. We're doing the field construction all at the same time. We're putting in the drainage at the same time, and we're putting turf on it at the very end. If we have to come back, we do it all the time. We'll come back in 2-3 years down the road when maybe it's a better timing for the district, and we can do the outfield in the future. But you're not stuck with infield only if that's the route we go initially.
Thank you.
Thanks. So if you put turf on a field, it's going to become attractive to a lot of people, and they're going to want to get onto your field. It's going to pay for itself over a relatively short of time. So I have a scenario, and this slide I can share with you. It was not in a slide that I emailed on Friday, because I gained some new information over the weekend. In our section, last year's baseball season, 6 teams in the section, 4 of them all had turf fields. A lot of times we had to play our home game on their fields just because of the conditions of ours. One of those fields is Plum. So in talking to Plum's athletic director, they generate $120,000 a year just off the baseball field, renting it out through the summer and through all the off seasons where the varsity players aren't using it. So if that's a figure that can be absorbed and put into the equation, they can be done quick. I mean, the payoff is right there. And then you continue to collect that, and you're starting to build yourself a bank. So when you do have to do a replacement turf, that fund is just creating itself. It's nothing that's coming out of the taxpayers' pocket. It's just through rentals of field. So in short, we do need your help, financially, of course, and physically, I don't know where that comes from, but we've been doing it for a long time. I'm looking at people here that's been doing it probably for a decade, if not more. And with the welcoming new athletic director, I'm hoping to change the process and kind of do it the right way. So that's all I've got. Any more questions? Go ahead.
Could you also utilize the field if you change the game times?
I don't see why not, but I have coach here. You want
I couldn't hear the question. I apologize.
can JV use the field if, what was that about changing game times?
They
Yes.
take the same time right now, but you then change their time frame, so JV could then use this field as well.
So what happens is we're really the only sport where the varsity and JV played exactly the same time. We just play opposite sides. So that field would always be essentially used by the JV varsity.
JV's away.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so we just switch.
And then, obviously, the budget for Breakdown for athletics is always a point of contention for everyone because it's not, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not necessarily broken out per sport, correct? So it's not like baseball has this pot of money, football has this pot of money. It's like athletics has this pot of money, if
is that in the past or is that how we're moving towards? Or we don't know?
That's how it's always been done.
Yeah.
That being said, obviously budget is done. for
Yeah,
this
right,
year.
right.
So we would have to have a conversation.
Right.
You know, I have no idea. It's no secret that Mars is not rolling in the money when it comes to the school district as you look around and see that, you know, our class sizes are large, our schools are full, we don't have room. Every decision that we make on this board, and believe me, you have me, my kid plays baseball, I'm all in, but like, every decision we make has to also offset the cost of education. So in saying that, do you know of any types of businesses that would possibly be interested in partnering with the district for
Yes,
projects such as
I
this?
do.
If we were able to maybe investigate other streams of helpfulness.
I haven't gone out to businesses and, yeah, you gotta get the turf field before I start to solicit, but I've had people come to me and say, how do I get on that field? If you turf that field, I'm all in. So yes,
there
is the
is
short
some
answer.
type of other streams of income that we could maybe help to utilize to, and I'm not talking about the maintenance side, I'm talking about the original, you know,
The original,
like.
Are you asking about
Investment.
sponsors?
Yeah, like.
Are you asking, are we willing to say,
Help
hey,
solicit
Sporting
sponsors.
Goods, are you willing to sponsor the Morris Baseball Complex and give us $100,000?
If we were able to do that via our policies in
I
place.
just wanted to clear that out. That would just-
okay, so we're talking about sponsorships for the field, naming rights, things of that nature? I mean,
Donations that are constructed, I think.
It depends on the policy.
I'm fairly confident we would be able to get donations. How much? That's always the question. I don't know. But I did have people come to me saying, if that's a turf field, I'll rent that twice a week all summer long.
Are those
And
people,
they'll be the
like-
first one in line.
are those like youth baseball players?
These are tribal organizations.
Or I imagine there's like, how there's like the soccer people that come in and do their camps and rent our fields. It's the same
Right.
thing, but for baseball.
And then you also have tournaments that will want it, like if it's turf, you'll have tournaments that will come and host tournament games here. For instance, just going back to Plum, was at the AC Sports.
Atlantic Coast.
Atlantic Coast.
So,
They rent their fields and they have tournaments all around the surrounding Pittsburgh area. And they rent that field for an entire weekend at $250,
like,
an
if you're gonna have
hour.
a tournament like that, then you need a bigger bleacher section then as well. This is not just something bigger to do. I
I don't know the rules of the tournaments. Maybe you bring up a good point though. I would love to have a bleacher section.
So Justin, I would say, you know, these guys all play summer in these tournaments.
Yeah.
And almost every parent that comes with their folding chair.
Right.
And
Okay.
so I don't think it would be a need.
Yeah, it's usually a pop-up tent, stay in the shade because
That may
it's
be something
July.
later on down the line.
And, you know, and another point, and I don't have this on the slide, and I didn't just thought about it earlier today, was, it'd be great to have a facility to use the restroom at the baseball field, even if it's a porta john. You know, I have older parents to come and so do we all, and there's just nothing over there at this time.
With this making.
Yes, there is.
The 20 seats, right?
Okay, there's actually two.
Okay, well, I apologize if I.
It's not there right now.
Before
Before
you
you
move
know.
on, there's a comment in the back before you move on to your next.
I was just gonna remark to, you know, the outside organizations. I know one just spoke of that they'd be interested in, I think, helping up front, but with an agreement that there'd be certain parameters when they would be guaranteed playing. Like, they would already have to build kind of pre-rented. They'd almost be willing to pay rent type of thing.
Oh, okay.
So they would like to enter an agreement knowing that they have a secured spot.
For so many years or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
20 actually, is what I was told.
That's what we do to that our facility.
Right.
Before the season starts.
Is there a private business going in Calorie for inside baseball?
It's
Is this for training? Or is that a field too, like battleground?
There's battleground baseball and,
Yeah, that's
that is just indoor facility. It has an infield, but it's not a full baseball field or anything like that. It's similar to the no off season across the street on 220.
Okay, is that where you go in the wintertime?
Well, it's an interesting question. We've never gone there until this upcoming winter is the first time since they're new and local and it's flat to drive there for our kids. That's where we're gonna go this winter and see how it goes.
And not to add fuel to this fire, but would this negate the need for using Calorie field?
The indoor facility, no, because we have three.
Not indoor, I'm saying outdoor.
Oh, no, we have 3 teams.
So you have.
We
to
have
still
freshman,
utilize
JV, and varsity, and varsity fields. Going back to what coach said, I think it was coach where we're away, varsity's away, JV's at home. That field's used. Where's the 9th grade play?
That's-
Yeah. So they still need a second field somewhere, whether it's an agreement with that field or a new one.
And the times can't be adjusted as far as the time, like the night.
That's to install lights. I don't see that being a possibility, just because, you know.
Whoa.
Going all 3 teams to play in one field, not in the amount of daylight that we have.
I don't think Merrill's gonna sponsor a field, so we have one. No, I do have a couple questions. How many times, and I know this sounds like an odd question, but there is, it's not bad. How many times has somebody hit a ball that fence into the track on that field?
Well, coach, how many times has somebody hit a
In
home
general,
run?
or does it happen a lot? Does it happen a lot?
Very in game, maybe once a season, maybe once a week in practice, when we are able to go on it a little bit more frequently, but generally speaking, not too much.
I mean, just to be clear, we've heard a lot of that we can't schedule baseball games during track time because of safety reason. And let's face it, any investment we make in that field, more whether it's grass, whether it's astroturf, the more we play on it, the better use, what we're getting out of our money, and the better that field's getting. Right. Those fields need to be played on, and I live right there. I pass that field every day. It doesn't get used to what it needs to be used to maintain a good field. And that's a lot of money we talk about putting in to maintain the field. And if you don't get the usage out of it, it's not a good investment. So we need to get more playing time, whatever we decide to do on the field. And just trying to make sure there are no other restrictions that prevent us from doing that. Outside of that, I don't know if everybody is aware, because I do understand, certainly appreciate this, and the need for the time frame. Short term, whether folks have been on each week or not, we do have a comprehensive study going on for the district for, in general, for everything, all of our facilities, whether it be, and it's a demographic study, just looking at future student growth, where do we need to invest in the district, whether it's in classrooms. It includes all of our sports facilities. I think we would be remiss to not take that entire study. Whatever comes out of that, whether that is the field that needs to be used, whether it is a different, and I'm not saying we would do a different field, but we need to see what comes out of that, if that is the right place to invest money, based on all the other things we're gonna come up with. So I'm not speaking for everybody, for me, I need to see that study and see what we're going to do with, in all different directions, before I probably put $1 million investment into this field. However, that doesn't mean that we wouldn't do short-term potential that we need to.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just want to set for me straight that.
And we understand that, you know, I'm not trying to say turf.
No, I
It's just,
understand.
We need your help, and it needs to
I think it's
happen
important for everybody to understand, we all are invested in this
to
district.
say, okay, let's start taking this, here, this field and get it, you know what I mean?
That study you're talking about, when does that come?
It's in process. We have different
Yeah,
milestones.
we actually have a
get.
preliminary meeting, just administrators on Thursday to kick it off. We've spent this week sending them some information.
So the information's in, it's just a matter of
Well,
digesting
it's my
everything,
understanding,
or-
and
we're
correct me if I'm
starting the
wrong,
first
Dr.
phase.
Bruce, that
Yeah.
this study was really designed to address K through 4 initially. I mean,
It'll address K-12 as far as throw the athletic pieces into it.
okay, good.
And I think the reason it was said, because we feel the capacity of the high school now, the capacity of the middle and Centennial seem to be okay as we project out. So the focus is younger, but we can certainly incorporate all of this.
Yeah,
Facilities
all
is
the
everything.
facilities,
Is that
right?
something
Buildings
that's
and all
years
that.
away though? Or?
No,
No,
I
it's
don't,
not
not the study, but I think by the time we get, I think the first part is going to be this K-4 study, right? Because we certainly don't want to wake up someday and have classrooms for the kids that are coming in. So that's obviously the most important thing. But as part of that, we did have a study done, and I don't remember how many years, 15,
14.
a facility study. So they're going to update that. And we want to incorporate some of the things that were not included in that were some of the stadiums. And we need to take a hard look at all of that. Again, to upgrade one component and then wind up saying, well, the other things we have are no good and or need to be upgraded and wind up re-spending money to move things around. I think we need to look at it as a comprehensive whole. Because as a growing district, there are needs probably in a couple of different areas that we may or may not be well aware. Just thinking more of the long-term vision.
So that end, because of where Anthony's thoughts are, it sounds to me that maybe the very first option of just fixing the field as it is now might be the best option until we get that study to see what we're able to invest in if that's.
You're asking me my opinion, it's a board, everybody's got. Right, where I stand.
I think the district will come too with the recommendation of Mr. Matusik and Dr. Gross during all
Yeah,
this as well. We'll bring,
for sure.
we'll bring the recommendation.
For sure.
Kind of.
Yeah, this is just
gauge
Yeah, we
everything.
more of an educational,
Yes.
hey, here's what's been
Yeah.
happening, we need to stop the way it's been happening. It shouldn't, well, the burden shouldn't fall on
We
us.
feel confident, that there's stuff that Elton's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to set the stage for what's going on behind the scenes that people may or may not be aware of, so it's more than just one facility.
And now that we have a new athletic director too, it might be worth refocusing the way that we look at athletics, because for example, if this aeration needs to be done, then this should be a budgeted cost that we have moving forward, instead of this being a continual surprise.
Correct.
Yeah, does the football field have to be aerated?
Certainly.
No, I didn't know if ours was.
We, we're the only
We're the
sport, I
only
think, that
outdoor
doesn't have turf here, is baseball.
I mean, to that end, I believe the athletic director does produce a budget each year which incorporates all the time.
But I'm saying it's
Yeah.
not a line item currently, like. if
It's
we-
probably in his budget it is.
But maybe what we need to be seeing is a breakdown of the athletic budget by sport and activity.
Yeah,
And
I get it.
ensuring that all of these are in.
Correct. Right.
It will be going forward, so I was like.
Thank you for taking the time to put all of
Oh,
this
sure.
together.
Yeah, no, thank you, again, thank you for everybody having us.
Yeah, and thank you to the parents who continually engage.
Yeah.
And works and all of that.
In labor too.
Absolutely.
Is it within reason to hear in a week, like, what direction you'd like to go, so we know, like, should we get our
Zach
shovels
and I
out,
can-
or?
Zach and I can get together as always tomorrow, hopefully try to bring something back. for the board.
Okay.
Although I do want to say I love that kids stick around and like do physical labor for something that they love. I mean, like, I kind of want you guys to still stay for half an hour each day, like.
Because if things get done now and we don't get that for board approval next week, we'll just lost. You're in
Right,
the-
right, and I know
So you
Mr.
have
Matusik,
to-
he knows what needs to be done, and he's done it before, so.
We are gonna have to consider capacity, because as you spoke,
But we've been.
it is true, there's no secret, it is very hard to build a facility.
Correct, and that's the concern,
It's a
like,
challenge.
do we keep our shovels in our car, or?
But it's also unfair to expect that parents to be putting their own money, time, energy, and effort into a district on something, and we recognize that, we're not.
Thank you.
I personally am not blind to that.
And that's been being recognized, and then again, like, so with the shortage, it's just, you know, trying to figure out all the pieces and getting it figured out.
You're not the only district with shortages, I get that, but yeah, and we're to help, we're here to help with that solution too. And if you have an X amount of dollars that you wanna spend on the field, say, hey, Mars Backstop Club, we're gonna allocate this money, can you help us out? And then we'll help you out, we'll find a vendor, or we'll go and, you know, we'll do what we need to do. All right, thank you, everybody.
Can I add something real quick? Just want to mention that I've been involved in this program for almost 10 years, and the parents, several of us here have been on those fields all the time. What's been very frustrating is even getting the minimal pre-season preparation. It just hasn't happened. You know, one person you can ask, and it ends right there, and it never happened. That's gone on for year after year. So what I would just love, whatever we do, if you can somehow provide at least the minimum to keep this field playable now. And Jeff did a great job of pointing out all the some of the things I didn't even know were wrong with that field. But it's the basics that they're just too hard for parents to do. We can't do it. We try our best, but it's still a mediocre field in a 5A school district. It's just a little bit.
Well, you guys do a good job though, because I've prep passed there quite a lot. I think
You haven't walked with it.
No, I haven't.
When you walk, you'll know.
Yeah, we took a walk on it earlier in the summer.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
We certainly don't want anything.
Shouldn't be being done. I'm certain stuff that is real. All the work was never integrated.
All right, so I did have a bunch of people sign up for that wanted to speak in the in the public comment section for baseball. Does anyone that signed up wish to speak now about baseball? Since we just had a
I'll go next. So my name's Gary Orris. I am the current president of Backstop Club.
Okay, the way public comment goes, I have to give you 3 minutes and you have to say your name and address. After that,
Sorry,
I'm
we
good.
should have probably done that at the beginning, but we
Yeah.
kind of want to get.
No, that was the presentation.
was set up.
We had a presentation that's totally separate from public.
I'll wait for Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, no, you're good. As soon as you say your name and address, you got 3 minutes.
All right, 122 Valley Brook Drive, Valencia. Gary Orris, current president of the Morris Backstop Club. I really can't say anything that Jeff hasn't already pointed out. And on behalf of the Backstop Club, and most importantly, I think the parents and the past Backstop Club members, we did want to come tonight and try to really appreciate, Megan, that you recognized that, pointed out the parents really shouldn't be doing these things on school property. But we're not going to let the kids think. We're not going to let the kids have bad season. We prefer to use the money we raise to do fun things for the kids. Take them on trips, buy them apparel, sponsor their banquets. Well, when they're training, we understand that turfing a field is not a solution to indoor December, January, February needs. But what we do really want to get away from is the parents doing this, driving up to the field literally half an hour before the game, seeing a coach out in the field trying to cut grass when the mower runs out of gas. And he's calling a parent to go get gas because he's got to drive the mower up the field. Meanwhile, he's got to get a team ready to play a game. And these are real stories. So I hope that as you sit down and you start to assess, what are we going to do? Please, we're appreciative of all the funds you spent on the softball fields, the auxiliary turf field. You know, we need more because we need that maintenance. So please don't lump us in a general maintenance budget and say you just get this piece. Because we're a grass field, the baseball team needs more. It needs a bigger chunk of that because we require more maintenance. So hopefully you recognize that. Hopefully there is a way to get a turf field in the future. But if not, recognize that as you're sitting down and you're doing budgets, baseball needs to sit in a little separate island on its own because we do need that maintenance. We don't have the turf facilities now. We have to have more money to get the things done that need to be done.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Roseman, John
Rosman, 129 Seacrest Drive. So I won't take 2 minutes. These guys have done a phenomenal job. The biggest thing for me, and it goes back to what Megan said, is injuries. You know, I got a sophomore. What we want to see is a field that is safe to play on. And these guys back here can be proud of. You know, they go to Plum, it's beautiful. We go to all these fields and then we come to Mars and it's like, oh, you know, it just is what it is. And, you know, I'm one of the many parents here that took numerous days off last year from my job so that I could come out, fix the field up so that these guys could play. Because that's what I like watching them play. And I want them to have a good year. Coach does a great job. So, you know, the injury part of it, just please take that into consideration because I don't want to wind up with a torn ACL or a busted ankle because the new field's so crappy.
Thank you. Jeff?
I spoke on that.
This person's transportation, Jeff's transportation also?
Yes.
And Steve?
I spoke with Keystone Sports.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for allowing us.
Yeah, thank you for your public comment. I mean, we have a lot of things to consider. Sure. It's not like we're gonna give you your answer. Okay, so, I did have a quick question. The size of the field, what is the fence length to it? Is it at high school length? Is it?
I have that on a diagram that's not with me and I don't know.
I just didn't know if the high fence is just to protect the track or if it is.
The high fence was before my time, and does anyone know about that? The high fence, Coach?
Do you know what the fence is back here?
So what it does is it makes the ball have to travel further and higher, so it kind of translates to be in the same. It is a little bit shallow, a little bit more shallow than other fields in left center, but because of the high fence, you have to hit it further, so it actually all will equal out.
What's the short fence? What's the fence? If it was a short fence now, what would the distance, you know?
Yeah, it's 310 down the lines. I don't remember what is the left side. 345 is the high fence.
I just comparing it to other high school fields, because you stand there, you can obviously see it gets smaller than high school fields. I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
if there's any information you want us to gather.
I was just
we can
curious.
do that, yeah.
All right, that's the only question I had. Appreciate you all coming. You're more than welcome to stay. We're gonna have a pretty quick meeting now, I think.
Sorry, I did have a follow-up question. You mentioned in your presentation that the infield's not regulation size. Is it too large or too small
Large.
because of
Too
the
dirt.
weeding and the,
Because of all the, when they would spray, it would kill more grass, and next year kill more grass, and then kill more, and then it just keeps getting bigger.
so it's the,
Does that make sense?
yep,
Okay.
yeah, sure does. Thanks.
The infield, you want it all dirt, not grass and stuff. You don't want a hybrid infield. Right now it's a
No, no,
hybrid.
at least the base running
base
grass
on it. Okay.
should be dirt.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm
Like
asking.
3 feet, 2 feet wide, you know what I mean, to get there, instead of going into grass and then into dirt again, as you're running.
But the problem is the grass itself now. You know, we would like to fix that part of the field.
Yeah.
You know, you walk on it, you get tired neck of just walking, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it hasn't been rolled or anything.
Right.
If I can maybe just try to help clarify. So the infield grass, it would be the equivalent if you would go out on a gravel road in any parking lot and take ground balls. Now, when we talk about like 100 miles an hour, that's not an exaggeration. I mean, like a player that we played against North Allegheny was the 21st draft pick in Major League Baseball. So he hits it 110. So when you take balls off the gravel, you don't know which direction it's going to go. It's not consistent. So when you have a nice flat surface, you know, you have that consistency, so you can, that's not going to pop at the last second, almost take kids' heads off. And that's what's scary, because these are players that their college being paid for because of this game. For some, that they're entering into a professional career following that season. So we don't want to make that a safety hazard for them even moving forward.
That makes sense, thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to the agenda. This big crowd, is our student council available? Thanks, everyone.
It's gonna be lonely now.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does not look like we have student council.
All the students left. You got my 3 minutes.
Board reports? Oh, Mr. Mellon?
Yeah. So VOTEC started back 8:25. We had our meeting last Thursday, September 1st. There was a new position created, Dean of People Services. They're looking for somebody right now. They hired a welding instructor, an additional welding instructor, and there will be a JOC4, which is the Joint Operating Committee, for our session for us, if anybody wants to go. It's between 1 and 2:45, and I don't write the date down. I think it's September. I'll have to look. So, okay. That's it. There wasn't much on that.
I'm sure you'll update us today.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Hagan, if I'm.
Yeah, a couple things. The Marsh Plant Foundation, this Thursday, September 8th, is the college fair. So if you are going to be attending that, please stop by the Marsh Plant Foundation table. There will be information on the various scholarships that are sponsored through there. So we also have several fundraising opportunities coming up for we'll have some fun either at Flying Squirrel. That's on September 11th or September 18th, between the hours of 10 a.m. 10 p.m. Just please mention that you're there with the Marsh Planet Foundation, and like some of the proceeds come to us. And on September 25th, between 12:30 and 6:30, it is at Park and Slides Fun Park.
I've never been
Centennial kids.
Right,
Not there for Centennial kids, but if you have your siblings, make a date.
The JOC4 is September 15th and also Tuesday, September 20th. So that is the best one.
You said what time of the day? 1
to 2:45. And that's for the court, not for.
Yeah. Maybe we should think about getting carpool since it's so far away, but yeah, maybe the board should get together and actually do it. We've done it in the past.
We all did it.
Yeah,
You weren't there?
I've been there.
Great facility.
I've been there a few times.
It's fun.
We should have, it should be everybody to show the support to it. It's a great facility.
It's awesome.
We can ask them.
All right, moving on, public comment, we can take agenda items right now, but it'll be pretty quick, we're gonna be public comment open, because these guys are, you signed up for transportation. So yeah, give us 5 minutes, we'll be there, but I have to ask, any public comment, agenda items? Someone else in the room? Public comment, agenda items on the Zoom? Seeing none, I'll move on, next week we'll consider minutes. This week, can I have a motion to approve personnel numbers 1 through 4? And then 6 through 9.
Megan, so moved.
Evan, second.
So I have a first and a second for discussion, comments, concerns.
Thank you to all the teachers who are doing all the supplemental activities. Especially the unpaid ones in high school.
Board comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? So that carries. I have a motion under personnel number 5.
Evan, so moved.
Anthony, second.
So I have a first and a second for discussion, comments.
This is Megan. I have to abstain from this because I'm on the list of volunteers.
Same goes for me, Sally, I have to abstain and then lots of volunteers as well.
With that, Ray, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Capretis?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Lentz?
Abstain.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Reiner?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wick?
Abstain.
Mr. Fucci?
Yes.
So that is, 7 yes and 2 abstain.
Thank you. So Amanda, agenda under finances number 1 through 8, we'll consider next meeting. We'll move on to buildings and grounds, numbers 1 through 3. Can I have a first and a second?
No, so moved.
Full second.
For discussion, comments, concerns? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? That carries. On the main agenda under others, next week we'll consider 1 through 4. Told you to do about 2 minutes, and now we're on the public comment.
Are we going number 5 now under other or next week?
I wasn't notified that. Do you need number 5 right now?
Well, no, you just said 1 through 4.
Oh, did we? Yes, we did. It was 1 through 4. Oh, maybe I was still thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3. I don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building and grounds is 1 through 3. There are 5 items on under other right now.
Okay, so we'll consider, do we need anything under other?
You need that grant, Dr. Chris?
Hope you can approve the grant, just in case he wants to purchase anything, you know.
Megan, so moved.
Evan, second.
So we are gonna approve number 5 under other. I have a first and a second. For discussion, comments?
Thank you very much.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Sorry about the delay, one public comment. I have 2 people signed up, Jess.
Just so.
Sorry. So you'll just, go ahead, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Just south, 125 Denny Road. The new busing from Holy Sepulchre home. We live 3.7 miles from school since kindergarten through, he's in 5th grade now. He's gotten home 3:30 at the latest, so that's a half-hour bus ride. He now has a shortest bus ride of 60 to 65 minutes, the longest the first day, and one other day was almost 5 p.m. when he got home. So now they go from Holy Sepulchre to here and transfer to a different bus, which I don't feel is necessary for that short of a distance. Options are, and when Mars did not have school on Friday, there was new buses assigned. I got a call from the school and from the bus garage saying what bus he would be on instead of his regular bus. But when that day came, I got a call from the school at 3:15 saying they had just left because there was much confusion. He wasn't on the new bus, he was on his old bus and got home at 3:20 after leaving the school at 3:15. And I know there's a lot of other kids that transfer to that live very close.
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you said? He got to the school and instead of getting on the assigned bus, he got on his old bus.
Yes, that's what he was told to do.
And then he was home.
And within 5 minutes.
But he went Holy Step to here.
No, not on Friday, because you guys didn't have
Okay.
school.
Sorry, that was my
Yeah.
concern. Thank you.
So you don't, I can keep it straight from this.
Yeah.
I was confused because I thought you meant that here, right? Here.
Oh, no.
Anything else? Right. Just so you know, public comment is not meant for questions back and forth, so we try to hear from that. We do have a transportation director here. If you want to ask direct questions, or which can, right? Not the board.
Yeah, we can give it up to after.
Okay.
Because I know, yeah, we've been fielding a lot of questions.
Okay, so you do have enough. Okay, Megan?
Yeah, we can share.
My name is Megan Julius. I emailed a number of you before the first day of school. Sorry, 128 Pierce Road, Mars. Emailed a bunch of you with some really big concerns about our transportation. Much like Jess, my kids have gone to Holy Sepulchre for the past 6 years, and we've always had direct busing. My kids live 5.8 miles from the school district or from the school. Yet you're going to drive my children past our home to drop them off here. Alex Park, one of the parents that couldn't be here tonight, the kid waited at the school for 51 minutes one day waiting to get on for a transfer bus. So I'm asking for your help. We had transportation in the past and it worked perfectly. And now we're at a point where I cannot send my children on a transfer bus. There's been a lot of confusion about transportation. I originally was told my children would go from Holy Sepulchre to Penn Christian to pick up more children. And then when I was concerned about the time, it was then switched to a transfer bus, even after expressing deep concerns over the safety of my children. We have a substitute teacher that has threatened our family. We go to private school for a reason. Yet they were assigned to a transfer bus. I've requested a number of times for solutions, and on Friday I was called and told I could get on the transfer or the bus 51 that goes to Penn Christian, but my kids would be on the bus until 4:30. 4:30 does not provide like transportation. I've asked the question, how many Mars students are on the bus for over an hour? I was originally put on hold for 90 minutes to not be told the answer. The next day I was told there's only a handful of children that are on the bus for that long. Yet right now, I would say 60% of the Holy Sepulchre kids are on a bus or in transport for over an hour. When I worked in the city, I had a shorter transport and I lived 5.8 miles from school. This shouldn't be how our children are transported. I've been told a number of times it was because there's a bus shortage. Heard from AJ Myers, they have no fewer buses drivers this year as over last year. Ms. Smith has told me she didn't want to drive a bus this year. She's better off in the office. Any kid on a bus for over an hour is not in their best interest. I've also been told it's more economical for our students to be shipped around. Under the PA school code, economics cannot be a reason to not provide safe, reliable transportation for our children. We just have to find a better solution, and having kids on a bus for over an hour isn't unacceptable. It's been done in the past. I have been confirmed that the substitute teacher that I was concerned about still is an active member, and that is fine. It is not a personnel issue that I'm concerned about. But I chose private school for my children for a reason. I pay my taxes, get all my tax money. You also get a stipend to bus my children, $385. But right now I'm busing my children. So should I apply for that money? Because I'm busing them. Currently I'm taking kids to school myself. Our former bus driver who drives through AJ Myers now is on a route where she transports to. So please help us.
Steve, you signed up from there? Yeah. Okay. I'll move on to other public comment Zoom, and then we'll see if we have enough. Is there anyone on Zoom that wish to have public comment at this point?
No.
Anyone on Zoom wish to have public comment? Seeing none, I'll move on. We should have enough transportation. Okay.
We had shared with the board some of the alternatives, and I don't know if you want to go into detail, but some of the issues are, we do have regular ed students, we don't like it. I don't like students on the bus for an hour either, but we do have some of our regular ed students. So it is being offered in a fair and equitable way. Part of it is economics, which you had alluded to. Certainly, like, one of our jobs is to be stewards of taxpayer money and try to make routes in the most financially responsible way. But when we approached this last year, part of it was financial, but the another part of it was the driver shortage, because we definitely had a driver shortage at the end of last year. So it's a little bit budget, a little bit financial, but what I don't want you to think is like it's a certain targeted group. Unfortunately, as I talked to Christina, I was a parent. You know, my children used to ride the bus for a few minutes. In my own very district where I worked, it ended up 1 year there almost on for an hour. Didn't like it. I made the decision to try to figure that out for myself. So what I don't like to think is it's like a targeted issue against any segment of society. That's not it at all. We had shared some of the alternatives with the board, because Tina has been working on that. And that's the sad part, over a phone or tell Tina, I wish people would realize we're not like intentionally trying to make their lives miserable. If we had the easy fix, we would. What we don't want to do is get into specific buses just for a specific school, because we have several others to worry about. But what we also want to do is we want to minimize the ride time as much as possible. So I think there's been a lot of conversation, at least just to one of you. I'm only saying it because I know the conversations we had, where the alternatives have been talked about. The initial issue was the concern over the transfer bus. But at the time that we had talked, staying on the bus 51 that was being requested would have been a 58-minute ride, and the transfer bus would have been 46. So our recommendation was the transfer bus, which led to, that's why you probably called based on what we were talking about.
There were actually several
we do have kids
students that were
on an hour. Got a little over a week under our belt. We're hoping it gets better. The Holy Step kids are wonderful kids. I know we all go out and talk to them. Those that do arrive here every day, they're wonderful kids. And as a matter of fact, the one little guy didn't realize I was trying to get an update with him, like, how's the ride? First day was, oh. Next day, oh, it's better. It's getting better. I'm like, okay, it's getting better. We're watching. So I don't know if you have anything to add. I wish there was a solution, but we don't want to do just designated buses.
Can I say one thing real quick? I'm so sorry. This is just so funny. So I hear what you're saying. We're actually neighbors. Our children probably are on the bus together, depending on how this all shakes out. But you made one comment that I just really wanted to mention. You mentioned Ms. Smith letter, she didn't want to be driving a bus and she's in the office. Her job is to be the director of transportation. Her job is to be in the office, making sure all of the kids on the bus is safe. She so graciously and willingly pitched in due to the extreme driver shortage that we're facing last year. And I just wanted to make it clear to everyone listening and to me as a whole that Ms. Smith is going above and beyond when she is driving the bus. And that is not, in fact, part of her job description or something that should be expected of her in that sense. So, sorry.
And the alternative that I
was
can
not
say,
made aware. That was just kind of.
the designated bus obviously would be ideal if we could do
We've
it.
had it for the past 6 years, yes.
Right, but you didn't have driver shortages either. So there's a lot, I don't mean it, I sound like.
No, you're not.
I don't mean.
From an AJ Meyer standpoint, they're telling us that they don't have a shortage.
That's not correct, because just last week we had driver issues. So, it's twofold, but the other issue would be, unfortunately, there's always a first on and a last on. And I've been unfortunately part of that too, but when we ran we were trying to find a way to brainstorm this. When we try to fix the issues of some that have come to us, obviously you're here tonight, so you would be an example. We could make that drive time shorter, but then we realized there's 5 or 6 other families where it goes longer. So we're not trying to be difficult. I want you to know that. But one thing I can absolutely say, I would not recommend to the district that we do designated buses to designated schools, because some of the school code issues you talked about now will rear its ugly head, because I can guarantee we don't have enough buses to do it for all of our private. So if you're going to do it for one, you got to do it for all. And then and I got to turn this in the room. When you make arbitrary decisions, that's when you get in trouble. You show me in writing where, okay, we're trying to stay within the cut. If we arbitrarily, because some folks get into a habit of doing that, we don't like the feeling of not getting along or feeling like you're not understanding where we're at. But you arbitrarily just move for one, that's where we get the district in trouble. So we're trying to stick within the confines of the school code to offer the transportation in an equitable way to the areas that we have to within the boundaries. And in some cases we talk, because I scratch my head, I get complaints from parents. I'm like, we were talking about last week, like, how in the world can that happen? Elizabeth was part of the conversation. So I don't think it's fallen on deaf ears. Like, how can it happen? How can they be this close? Well, sometimes it depends on the side of the road you're on. You know, so it gets really complicated.
But can I remind you, our kids get on the bus at 7:15. We start school before your elementary kids are even on the bus. So our kids leave our house at 7:15 and are not to get home until almost 5 o'clock.
It's a long day.
Your high school kids aren't away that long, and these are 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds.
But I can promise you this.
So there has to be a better way.
We have
than
met
what we currently are
daily.
doing.
We have met daily to try to come up with different situations. And I, again, if you're sitting here and say, well, holy something, just run a designated bus. And I didn't mean to come off as the game. It's not how I am. But years ago, you could probably do that.
We have for the past 6.
But we do have driver shortage issues, I'm telling you. That's what led to some of the looking at it. And if we do a designated bus, now we have to decide, I would be looking at the board saying, if you do that, that would fix that problem. But you can't be arbitrary. How did you make that decision? So now are you going to say it's because it's what is the answer? Because you're going to have to run a private bus to any other entity out there that's saying, hey, my child's on for it. So it's not easy. So if we can continue to try to find a way, and I'm not patronizing, I promise you, we meet almost daily on this to try to see if we can minimize the drive times. Now, the kids that I know have been coming, like I said, I jokingly say they're awesome kids. I tell young man he could run for mayor because he's just so mature. But the times are getting less and less for them.
We've never even been told who's in charge of our children when they would come here. We've been told they get a button, and that sounds great unless it's your 5-year-old riding the bus by themselves. So who is responsible?
We have probably,
when they get off of one bus?
We probably have at least 7 to 8 people that are out there every given day.
Are they the same people?
They're the same people. I'm an extra, you know, because on any given day I can't promise, but the days I can get down, I know.
I've been out there every day.
We do have designated staff members that are out there.
And that's great to know because we were given a card with a highlighted.
And I get it as a parent, you're saying, I'm just gonna get my kid on the button, oh my gosh, no.
And no information.
Off many times.
And no information.
And I will tell you, I would invite you if you're not sure, you wanna see how it's done, come in and watch how it's done. There's plenty, because your concerns are concerned. Like when those kids get off that bus, we darn well better make sure they're monitored, they're with someone, they're escorted. And every time a bus comes, someone different escorts those kids to their bus. That's how that's working.
So I think it was last Monday, when we had the torrential downpour rain. And my son said they held them for the rain before they could transfer. Who did we talk to about getting the, I was not notified that he wasn't coming home. Like he didn't get home until almost 5.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe they were held as much as it was kids were so reluctant to run, it backed us up.
Okay.
Because my biggest
fear. He said
fear,
he was waiting.
Coming
from an 11-year-old.
My fear is they were doing that when Dr. McMahon got soaking wet and I didn't. But my biggest fear is we were trying to get them going, but I'm also worried about I don't want to be out there if it's thunder and lightning.
Right. They utilize the Stop Finder app as well?
It doesn't work. It's usually most of the time says unavailable or says that he's already been delivered and it's not. We can use the Stop Finder app for notifications for parents. Unfortunately, the downside of the Stop Finder app, and I do utilize it when buses are delayed, but it's only as good as people who are signed up to use it. So we still have to rely on our email system that we use through the school district to let parents know. Because the Stop Finder app, like I said, is only as good as the people who are signed.
No, the kids taking the transfer bus, and I know you gave it, what's the longest ride?
So the information that I provided the board is the times that are scheduled for Holy Sepulchre students to arrive home based on the transfer bus, which there should be no one on the bus for an hour. Unfortunately, the first couple weeks of school.
First couple weeks always works.
Yeah, we were loading 3 buses at a time at the primary center to make sure that all the kids are getting on the correct bus every day and that they are really familiar with the system, because once we go to our wave patterns, which are 5 waves of 6 buses, then the kids have to know like what wave their bus is in. So if they're real familiar the first couple weeks of their bus number, then they know when their wave is called, which bus they get on, and then the buses are loaded 6 buses at a time at the primary center, which is actually in place to start most likely tomorrow afternoon. So you're gonna see probably a 15 to 20 minute improvement on the times getting home in the afternoon, because currently we're dismissing all the kids at the primary center at about 3:50, which is kind of late. Usually,
yeah, it's taking forever.
Yeah, but usually all of our buses are empty by 4:30 on a normal working. Once the waves are down and we got all the kids going home, we are usually empty. The bus garage calls me to tell me when they're empty every single day, and they send me a notification. And once we've established a pattern and the waves are down, all of our buses are empty by 4:30.
And can you clarify, does your school start at 7:15, or you're talking about the bus?
Our bus pickup is 7:14. We started at 8:14. Yeah, 14 to 2:15.
In the morning's a direct, right? It's not there is no such thing.
Well, no, I mean, our bus stops at Holy Sepulchre and then goes to Penn Christian.
Okay.
In the morning?
Yeah. Well, there are, but I don't know if ours.
I don't think bus 17 does. The transfer bus does not. It just goes straight to Holy Sepulchre. So we have a Penn Christian Holy Sepulchre combined bus, which is 51. And then we have 17, which is supposed to be a combined bus as well, but I believe the students from Penn Christian are not using the bus, so it's been a direct bus.
Let me ask you, Megan, what was that, the car you were holding up? What was that?
This is our notice of transportation. So we got a week.
Which does not give the transfer bus number, it just gives the.
And even at this, if we did, this is the old stuff. You know, you have to remember our kids are in car line in the car 250 this week. Well, last week we had buses rolling out. Mr. Crow was there helping all of our kids on. Those buses are leaving Holy Sepulchre last week by 2:55, 2:54. So if you're not having buses leave here until 3:50, they're sitting and waiting.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. This
Just
last
waiting.
week, that first week of school, I've been doing this for 33 years. And I always, not that your issue won't continue to be an issue, but I always say that transportation is always a headache. That first week and a half, and it's due to those little ones. If you get out and watch, it's cute. You know, it's like, you'll be like this, say, bus 7, you know, you just gotta be on them. But until you get that routine,
I would like to say
it should
though,
minimize.
that I've been doing transportation for lots of years myself. I've been at multiple different school districts. And it is an attribute to the staff here that put our kids on the bus in the afternoons every day, because the very first day of school here, we had 0 kids on the wrong bus. That has never happened in my entire transportation career ever. And
Yeah,
so that is a huge thing, that we have great staff here, that we don't have that issue here.
So are you thinking whatever they're at now?
I think it's going to
would be
improve.
about 15
I think
minutes?
it's going to improve by 10 to 15 minutes.
Would that be morning?
No, we're talking afternoon, strictly afternoon, because the morning is its own. It's not combined with anything.
So the getting home would be about 15 minutes.
Correct.
So what would that, in a perfect world, where would that take your ride in the afternoon then?
I have no use. I mean, the transfer bus isn't an option, but even if we went with the first one, it would still get us at 3:58.
No, 3:58 was on bus 51. But when they were switched to the transfer bus, the time was reduced to, I believe, 3:46.
Bus 51 hasn't come to our, we've not seen our kids in our neighborhood after 4 o'clock yet.
Okay.
Have you looked at sending more buses to Holy Supper, Penn Christian?
I have.
And busing them quickly and then having those buses assigned to a later wave for the primary center?
That won't work time-wise. That wouldn't work.
Yeah.
The way with the primary center, it's not like one bus is here, when the bus is to the primary center, one's at elementary, one's at. So if they took the transfer bus, we take the bus point one from here to go back to Pierce.
Yes,
Because
yes.
that's my kid's bus.
Yeah,
They
so,
live further down 3 degree by West Approach.
yeah, and the scheduled time for the district bus to arrive at Pierce is 3:46. That's the scheduled time.
That's actually when I have my app, so alert me, like, go to the end of the drive, right? It was 1:15.
So if she doesn't do the transfer bus and chooses to do 51, what's the, how much time is it now?
I was told 4:30.
Yeah, it would probably be
About
close to
4:15.
4:30 because,
Oh,
I think,
That's in a perfect world?
yes, but I do still have to keep tabs on 51 to see where we are with that, because we did make some changes that caused timing issues with 51. So I just have to make sure that that bus is also fair and equal for everyone as well.
So just keep monitoring it.
See what a week does, I guess.
When can we hope for a change? I don't need $1.5 million spilled in the I just need transportation for my kids that's safe.
When you say,
Like, when can we hope for a change?
like, what kind of change?
Acceptable times for transportation.
Well, you're saying hopefully,
I'm saying hopefully you're gonna see a 10 to 15 minute swing.
the first
between
week
this
is
and
always
next.
horrible times, but I'd say, a week.
Yeah.
week and a-
You know, going on to 51 for an hour and a half bus ride, even an hour and 15 is a really long bus ride for a kindergartner,
But if you take the transfer bus.
which is not a safe option for my children. We have a
But it's there. It's there if you would want that option.
We have a substitute teacher who has made threats against my children in open court. She harasses our family daily through email. It's not a safe option.
But as I was sharing it, if I had the name of that individual, I could
The phone has
guarantee,
the name.
I can guarantee that person would be nowhere near,
They wouldn't be in the school ever. They wouldn't be a sub.
they would be nowhere near that transfer area for those kids.
Don't your substitutes have responsibilities?
They wouldn't, if I
During the
knew
bus?
that, if I knew that person was like that, it wouldn't be anywhere. close. Just saying that way.
All right, we're gonna try to work our best the next week to see if there's an improvement. Nicole will obviously get with Dr. Gross about something separate.
Yep.
So we're moving on to public comment. We spent way more time on that, like,
Thank you.
but it was concerning to me, so I wanted to make sure
Thank you.
it was worked out. Moving on to, MAEA. Is there anyone from the association available on the Zoom world? Anyone from MAEA? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. How about you? Good. Just wanted to say hello. Sorry I'm not there in person. Hopefully we get somebody there for you next week if it's me or somebody else. But congrats, Chris Chirilla. Thank you guys for all you do. I think it's been a good start to the school year. I echo some of the comments there. I think we got some great staff, and the kids certainly have been a great start this school year. So thank you for all you do, and look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Administration reports, Dr. Gross.
I have nothing additional.
Dr. McMahon. I'm moving through these. Mrs. Branstad.
I do have something. Just want to give an update that we are going through our second round of testing on the new student and online enrollment application process. So quite a few things we're cleaning up some things that we found through the first round. We've made those changes, so gone through it now a second time. Actually found some more things today, so we're gonna get those things cleaned up. I actually did check with Chris on making sure she has all the instructions clear. And then the last step we have to do is make sure that we have the auto email set up so that when the students enroll, she gets everything finalized, it should automatically send an email to people in the district that would need that notification. So once we get that taken care of, then we should be able to turn on and go live with the.
So,
Great.
thank you, Ms. Branstad.
No.
Report. Mr. Schwindel? I think I covered everyone. I did fail to mention, we did have a closed session prior to this meeting for personnel, I believe. Do we need to have one afterwards? Nope. All right, moving on, board comment.
I just wanted to say, we certainly hear you, certainly for not trying to look at it that way. We understand everyone's here from baseball, but like it's all about everyone's children. We hear that and understand. Thank you to staff for getting us up and moving. It's wonderful having everyone being back to school. And thank you for the online registration. That will be so much easier.
Welcome back to school. My conversations out and about, I don't know that other districts are back to normal yet elsewhere. So that's, I do mention it to people. All out themselves. Yeah, back to the way it was. So thank you for this.
Meet the planets. We were able to attend. Sally and I, we were sitting together and thinking, wow, this is wonderful. The community got together. Great performances by dance and cheer and band, football team. It's really great. The football games have been great to see all the community coming together and welcoming each other. And I'm excited for this year. We have a lot of new things going on. And I hope everybody has, a great school year. And I'd like to thank the staff and the teachers for doing such a phenomenal job. And thank you as well. If you are at the college fair, come and see me at the Plant Foundation table. We have scholarships that are available to high school seniors. So I'd be happy to talk to you about that. So thanks.
Said all there.
Just welcome back, everybody, staff, students, everybody's great stuff. Another year kicked off. If you could do me one pick there, we talked a little bit about some of the baseball rates. Can you find out the performance?
And that would be interesting to compare it to what our rates are.
Yeah, we get a lot of pushback based on no year with those numbers. It'd be interesting to see what they're rating. So, sorry, switching gears a little there. Thank you to everybody who showed up today. You better keep coming.
All right. I get a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, so moved.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Have a great evening.